Well, it's gonna be a good season to be a Druid main. Welcome everyone, I'm Ace of Spades, this is Goblin-Inc. Let's take a look at the changes for Druid for Season 4. We have quite a bit of them. And we're gonna start talking about the uniques. The first one is the Earthbreaker unique ring. It's a landslide unique, kind of like they did it with Lightning Storm the previous season with the Aesthetic Wrap. They're trying to make flavor of the month type of build, but it's a mess. The ring is not particularly good, even though I believe the build still to be an A-tier build. It's okay, but it has some problems. And it's more like that certain builds are just very overpowered. And that's why I don't think this build is going to be that powerful. There's a couple of problems with Trample and Subterranean not working with the ring. And that's intentional, according to Adam Jackson. I'll show you the Twitter. We have the new boots, the Wild Heart Hunger boots. They're good. When you shapeshift into werewolf or a werebear, you get a damage buff, stacks 20 times. That's a 30% damage increase. The boots also have damage reduction. They're a very good boot. And I think they're gonna make it in quite few builds, but not in all of them. Because boots now can have ranks 2 rough skills, so if you're playing a hurricane or a boulder build, you would never want to use the unique boots. We have legendary aspects. We have the mole aspect, which is nerfed. Doing the math for mole, the skill doesn't really do enough damage. And also, the damage reduction from it, honestly, it's not that great. It's not worth, honestly, running this aspect, in my opinion. For the balance update, we have a couple of juicy things. So we have the Banished Lord Talisman nerf, which affects pulverized builds for us. And we have the T-Bolts will nerf. Now, only 20% damage. And damage increase persists 1 second longer after being unstoppable. It's nice, but not that good anymore. The 20% damage buff. I think you can do better now with the rare pants because of the new itemization. Provide some interesting options for pants. One of them being total armor as a guaranteed stat that you can get, and some more stuff on it we'll talk about later. Razor Plate has been changed for everyone. And doesn't really matter because Thorn is trash for us, but the Thorn damage, actually 10% chance to deal Thorn damage has been changed. Now it does 15%, I think, if you're Thorn damage. Something like that. It's good for Necro, it's good for Barb, but not for... It's good for Barb, but not for Druid. Legendary aspects. Disobedience doesn't matter. Now the armor cap has been changed to maximum being 9,000 something, which means you only need 1 armor percentage roll to reach that. So we do not need Disobedience nor Juggernaut in any of the builds anymore. Big change. Very big change. Assimilation. Previously, you have 8% increased dodge chance. And you restore primary resources. Now it fortifies you. Oh, it's bad. Fortify, we don't really care. We fortify with other things, but the other type of aspect, that one that heals you, the new one, it heals when you dodge 20% of your max health. It's pretty strong, and I think we'll make it in quite a few builds. But this one, I don't think it's worth running. Full dodge. Dodge does not work against the bosses. So there's a bunch of things that you cannot dodge, and makes dodge not that good as a mechanic. Chance to stun for Aspect of Retribution has been increased to 10%. Increased damage to knock down enemies. Of Inner Calm, another aspect. Now it can deal up to 40% damage if you stand still. It could be okay for Lightning Storm now, honestly. But it's honestly too slow to ramp up, in my opinion. Of the Crowded Sage is used to be the one that heals you life per second, but now you have 8 increased percent dodge chance and a chance to restore 20% of your maximum life. I think it can be a decent aspect, mostly against elites, of course. I don't think bosses are that much of a threat. It's more about dodging things than anything. The new Pit 200 is quite hard to beat for some builds, does a lot of damage, and Pits have been getting a buff. So I'm expecting actually Pits to be challenging, but bosses not that much. Bold Chieftain can be used by Barbarian and Druid. It's a unique item, not very important for Druid because we do not use shouts in the way Barbarian do. We prefer to reset the cooldown of the shouts with stuff like Blood Howl automatically resets. And of course, Debilitating Roar with Hunter Zenith, which is gonna be a key item this season, one of the few uniques that I think a Druid will like. Heretic Aspect has been nerfed as the one that reduces your cooldown with basic attacks. Never used it a lot for Druid, it was more of a Sorc and Barbarian thing. We have, I have to stop saying by the way in videos. Practicing. Damage reduction. Sometimes some of you leave some really good comments about me saying every once in a while. It's funny. I love them. Damage reduction. Leave more mean comments below. Damage reduction granted by fortifying has been increased from 10 to 15%. It's a good change for Druid because we get 45 very easily. It's quite a bit of damage reduction. It's more than 5% because it's 5 extra percent plus the initial 10. So it's more like a 6% damage reduction. Cooldown reduction is capped at 75, doesn't matter. Like here, physical damage has been changed. Now caps at level 100, meaning that it's only 9,000 something. Evade charges change. Attacks reduce evade cooldown affix has been increased from 0.8 to 1.5 seconds. That's kind of crazy, honestly. I think that's too much. It makes the other type of boots worthless, in my opinion. The evade grants move speed affix has been increased from 50 to 125. Wait, what? That's kind of weird. Wait a second. So you can go past the move speed cap. That's... The move speed cap, as far as I know, it's 100%. So going to 125 shouldn't be possible. That's something to think about. Resistance from amulets have been increased from 19 to 25. Wow, that makes capping resistances very easy. And single element resistance rings have been increased from 8 to 10. We have very easy to cap resistances now, honestly. Barbarian, I can already tell you, has been gathered, but let's take a look at Druid. Druid, Spirit Boons with Pack Leader. The cooldown reset chance is now 25%. That's quite helpful for some builds like Hurricane, for example. We have Energize, Spirit Restoration increased to 20, doesn't matter. Critical Strike, well, that's actually pretty powerful, honestly, for bolder builds. Masochist, it heals for more, it's very good for Tornado. Damage reduction from Wariness, it's 15% now. They're trying to make Druid more tanky in pits, but I actually think Druid tankiness is more about min-maxing the build, and you can get insanely tanky. It's just that Druid is a little bit harder to build than other classes. I really think Druid was already the tankiest class by far, and this might be a little bit too much, honestly. Claw has been buffed, but basic attack builds this season, Crown Staff, aka Stormclaw builds, are not gonna be very good this season. Unfortunately, that's because the new masterworking and the new mechanics, the new itemization allows for some very degenerate enchants on your weapons, and having a unique weapon is an incredible nerf, and you can't really afford to lose your weapon masterworkings and enchants. Maul has been buffed, but doesn't matter. Even with the new... They're trying to make Maul build a thing. It's just not gonna happen. They're like 1000% buff off. Raging Pulverize stands for more. Shred has been buffed, which is okay. But I will show you why later. Shred is not gonna be very good. Main reason is because Shred does not have access to Thundershock. Meaning that we cannot abuse the new itemization and getting insane value of Thundershock like the other Storm builds are doing. So we have nothing to scale Shred damage this season. Previously, Now you had Blur Beast, or you had that Thunderstruck wasn't that powerful, and the Earth one, we have an Earth 40% damage multiplier. But yeah, Shell does nothing. Debilitating Roar is now categorized as a shout skill to function with the unique chest piece that previously was Barbarian only. It doesn't really change anything. Wolves have more HP, better respawn rate, damage from Hurricane has been increased. And that's okay. Hurricane is probably gonna be an A tier build, maybe low S tier. We figured out a way, me and Sanctum, to play the build in a way that is more fun. And I'm gonna show you guys this build in a future video where we talk about the new build. I helped a little bit with ideas for the build and optimizing a little bit the Paragon, but mostly it's his build. Sanctum has been playing Druid this season because Rogue is pretty much a dead class. So for this season, I'm gonna have a little bit of help from a really good theory crafter with my builds. Always enjoyed making builds in Season 0 with Sanctum, and then he moved to Rogue. And it's nice to have a theory crafter with me again. Petrify has been buffed. Now it's longer duration. It grants spirit when you use it. And when you kill an enemy with Petrify, it used to be that it grants spirit. Now killing an enemy reduces the cooldown, which is nice. That's quite OP, honestly. I think Petrify is gonna be making it in many builds. I really was. Lacerate has been buffed, big buffs. It even buffs other skills. It's just a bad skill. It's single target pretty much. It lasts too long, and it really needs a 10x buff to be good. And this is just not enough. A lot of nice buffs, but we are not even close to Lacerate being viable. We have passive have been changed. We have the Call of the Wild for pets. Now the damage is increased from 10 to 12. That's pretty good for pet builds. If you want to know about pet builds, they are good single target AoE, still kind of weak. And I don't think they are yet where they need to be very playable. But my good friend Small Petting Zoo is working on pet builds. And I will have his build on the tier list. And he always makes pet-centric builds. I might help him a little bit, maybe with some ideas. But if someone can make a build that maybe is the A tier with pets, it's gonna be on the tier list. And yeah, I will show you guys in a future video what's going on with pets, where their theory crafters are with that. Heightened senses and quick shift have been buffed. So when shapeshifting, you transform into different skills, it deals 7% increased damage. Now, when shapeshifting into a new animal, you deal 1% increased damage for 3 seconds up to 6%. Yeah, I don't know. That's actually pretty strong because it's for 3 seconds, so this is something that is consistent. Now, this makes, again, Hunter Zenith that gives you ranks to quick shift better, and it's a really great item. So it's a good buff for everyone, honestly. We have Heightened Senses, which is the damage reduction previously. It will give you 4% damage reduction against the leads for 5 seconds. Now, it gives you 2% damage reduction and 2% move speed. Each for 6 seconds, right? Depending whether you switch from wolf to bear, bear to wolf. So when you enter a new form, if it's a bear, you get DR. If it's a wolf, you get move speed. The bonus is doubles if both of them are active. So builds that switch between wolf and bear, insane benefit from this, insane benefit from Hunter Zenith. So anything with Tempest Roar, very strong this season. Pretty much, honestly, now, even more mandatory than the previous season to play with Tempest Roar, for Thunderstruck, for Lightning Storm, Tornado, and Shred. We have Clarity, which previously was giving resources. It's a passive where the pets are in the skill tree. And now we have, after casting a companion skill, your next core or rough skill damage and critical strike chance are increased by 5% up to 15%. Now you can get a lot of ranks of Clarity. You can get it as a passive on your rings, new itemization. You can get Clarity on your rings, and you can get it on your amulet. So you can get quite a bit of ranks to it. I believe it's a +6. So it can go up to +9 in total. So as you can imagine, you have infinite critical strike chance and a lot of extra damage. So the way you play this is you cast your companion skills and then you cast your hurricane. This is for hurricane builds, not so much for other builds, because you don't want to do core scale, pet scale. It's not something you want to do. You lose half of your damage if you cycle them, which is not worth it. But if you're playing a build that relies on one skill, like maybe a pulverized build or a hurricane build, this is clutch, and it's how pretty much every hurricane build is built around this mechanic right now. Digigrade Gate now gives more move speed when you turn into a werewolf. That's good. And capping move speed is now very easy, which I like. But I'm thinking whether move speed is now not capped to 100% anymore. Legendary Aspect, Changeling Depth has been nerfed. So this used to be 50%. Well, has been first reworked. So this is how it used to work in Season 3. Removed poison, did damage. Now in Season 4, it gives you damage if you're hitting poison enemies. But it used to be 40%. It used to be 50%. Now it's 40%. So if you're using a werewolf skill, the bonus damage is against crowd control enemies, which means it does not work against bosses, meaning it's pretty bad. And for bear, they have to be poisoned, and poisoning enemies with bear is not the easiest thing to do. But it's okay. The Unsatiated, it's another aspect. Previously, it was the Shred aspect that no one played with. Now, after you kill an enemy with Shred, you gain Spirit, and your werewolf skills deal damage when cast above 50 Spirit. Yeah, that's a good one. The problem is that it doesn't work against bosses. All those, like, after killing things are kind of weird, because, yeah, then you don't have a Spirit for boss. It's kind of dumb. Blur Beasts have been buffed, but no one is using that. Actually, I believe Blur Beast used to be 40%, so I don't know why it says this. Maybe, yeah, this is not how Blur Beast is in Season 3. Anyway, Night Howler. Previously, we would get critical strike chance for 3 seconds and also affect the players. It's a bad aspect. And now, additionally, Blood Owl affects the companion and players. Yeah, still trash. Romite. Now, all shapeshifting skills contribute to the buff stacks. So you need to hit 15 enemies. And the damage has been increased by 5%. Whatever. Shepherd now also affects rat skills. I don't like this. Also gain increased damage from companions. Yeah, I don't like this. Honestly, every build in Druid is pretty much playing companions besides the landslide because it needs more tankiness. Mangled, we have, when you're struck with a werebear, you have a 40% chance to gain 3 spirit. Useless, now you get 25 spirit every 8 seconds. I don't think you need to do that because with the new itemization, you can have spirit on your chest. And also on your boots and on your helm. You can have spirit per second. And you can have a resource cost reduction on weapon and on rings. With a new system of enchanting your gear, masterworking, whatever it's called. So I don't see resource aspect being very popular. Flash Render has been buffed, but no matter how much it's buffed, it's still very far from dealing enough damage to be used. Casting undefensive skills damage nearby poison enemies, increased by 15% for every 100 willpower. It's not enough to make the build viable, especially because you don't cast enough defensive skills. Unfortunate. Mostly because, again, you cannot use unique weapons. Unique weapons are too much of a nerf. The unique weapon masterworking, not so masterworking, it's called something else. What is it called? Let me check a second. So with the new tempering, now that's the name, tempering. Tempering has on weapons, you can have the weapon tempering, which is unique to weapons, and it's extremely overpowered. You can have stuff like extra projectiles being cast for tornado, landslide, boulder, and you can have duration of hurricane, meaning that pretty much anything that does not uses a normal weapon, legendary weapons, is pretty much unplayable. That's why Stormclaw and Flash Render type stuff are not gonna be very strong this season. Waxing Gibbous has been changed to Life on Kill replaced with Spirit on Kill. Again, we have the shred aspect that gives you spirit when you kill something, so this is really useless. Paragon, we have some changes to the Paragon board. So Tracker went from 33% to 40% duration for poison. Yeah, that's good, but poison is useless for Druid. Poison is really only for Venom anymore. We cannot do damage with poison in any way, because poison used to be only a setup for us for Blood Beast. We don't have the poison explosion setup anymore, meaning that we're never gonna get 5 million ticks of poison damage. Just not. We don't have anything to increase poison damage to those effects. So Bane, chance to double the poison 10 to 15, doesn't matter. Shapeshifter 20 to 25, doesn't matter. Wild Glyphs 130% for pet build, can be okay. Inner Beast has been changed. Previously, it would reduce the cost of your skills by 30%. Now it reduces your cost of the skills up to 45, and when you reach 10 stacks, it reduces the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 5 seconds. That's actually pretty decent and makes it more interesting and might actually get played in some of the builds. Necromancer got a lot of changes. Paragon, Rogue. I think that's everything about the Druid that is interesting to talk about. Well, we can talk about the bug fixes. Bug fixes, there really isn't too much relating to Druid. So we have Druid here. So Wild Impulses has been fixed, meaning that we got a little bit more damage. 15% more, it's pretty good. Hurricane, as whatever. Retaliation bonus could apply twice. That's kind of a nerf. I never heard of this bug, actually. Storm Strike and Claw could attack in place instead of attempting to puff to the player. Yeah, that's kind of was an annoying bug. I didn't know it was a bug. Bloodhowl would not... well, whatever. This doesn't matter. 45 values generated by Safeguard was using base life instead of max life. That's okay. We don't really use that very much. Multiplicative damage from Wild Glyphs did apply for passive attacks from Companion. Like, it's crazy they're fixing stuff that doesn't matter like this. But I don't see any changes to bug fix to like Metamorphic Stone, which makes Boulder quite a bit weaker than it should be. Earth Spike will deal increased damage exponentially when hitting multiple stack targets. I don't think that's a problem. Additional landslide from Aftershock aspect didn't fully apply the Enchanted Left Slide upgrade modifier. That's a good fix, but again, it's not enough nor changes too much. Beast Legendary Paragon no did not trigger with the automatic shapeshift granted by Medal of Glee or Insatiable Fury. Sure. Bonus attack speed and critical strike chance granted by Night Owler was inconsistently applying to minions. Blood Owl will not work with Ravens. Blood Owl will not work probably when Ravens was also equipped. What? That's kind of weird. Spirit Glyph would only stack once instead of intended 6 times. That's kind of big. I did not actually realize Spirit Glyph would only stack once. Also, I think it was... yeah, that's quite big actually. So you only got 2% damage increase from Spirit. I don't think that's true, because I remember testing the damage on Lilith, and the Spirit Glyph working for me. Because I was comparing the different type of glyphs, and I remember Spirit actually giving me the 10% increase. Fixed an issue where Shred could target invisible enemies. Yeah, that could. Well, it's okay. Like the Ghost, the one that are invisible. And yeah, some bugs are not being fixed, like Metamorphic Stone being a big one. I would have preferred that to be fixed. And I don't know if it's a bug, but people that are close to you when you use boulders don't get hit by boulder. That's kind of annoying. So that's it. Druid is looking very strong next season. I will say I'm going to do a tier list video and talk about it. And I will show you then also some builds that I've prepared for next season. I think it's going to be a fun season. Maybe the most fun season that we had in Diablo 4 with all the new content, the pits, and all the turret crafting is new, all the new builds. Finally, the game is kind of looking like a game rather than a beta. So, very happy for that, and I'm glad they did the PTR. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in game or on stream you can drop on Twitch and ask me any question related to Diablo 4 or Druid. See you and thank you.